Well, hello everyone, and once again a warm welcome back to the DrMBalmer channel. Now, what do I have for you today? Well, I thought it was a good time to have a look at three different generations of these HP Mini PCs. So these Mini PCs, I have used them for a few years and I'm very pleased with them. So I have three generations. Now, this one will be our first target, and this is the oldest generation. So the meaning of all this, or the point of this, is to, well, examine what is worth to get in 2026 in terms of mini PCs, because depending on the generation that you buy and the model, you can either spend a lot more or a lot less. So the idea is to just compare the three generations in terms of general performance. Let's say PC Mark, AIDA64, stuff like that. And see how much the performance differs. And also, for those of you who have been following the GPU overclocking series, it will be interesting to see how this performs against that AMD, or that old AMD 7850K CPU on the open test bench that I have. But also, these are very practical little PCs. They were great as HDPC, for instance, connecting to a monitor, and well, you got the VESA hole spacing here, so you can attach it to something like behind a monitor or something like that. We have a few connections here. So display port, 2 of them, 4 USB-A ports, 1 analog sub-D connection, and then we have RJ45 Ethernet connection. We have a slot for Kensington lock, and we also have the port for the external power brick. Now this is a 35 watt model, so the power brick isn't too huge. It looks like this. You can see actually it's about as wide as the PC itself. So I very much like the format of this. You can stack several on top of each other if you want to, and they're very practical to bring with you on travel as well. For instance, you're going somewhere to maybe you rent a cottage somewhere or something, and spend a week there. You bring your PC with you, and yeah, plug it into a TV or something, and you can do all sort of stuff. You can well, depending on the model you buy, you can do a lot of different stuff, either only office related stuff, or you can, well, the question is, can you game on these? Well, I wouldn't be too optimistic, but browser based games should probably work. So why is this semi-open? Well, it's a bit it was a bit hard to open. There is a little latch here that you have to pull like that and then slide it off. I finally managed. So let me show you why I like these. Once you get this off a little bit, you just lift it, the lid off, and well, there you go. So you have the CPU under here, under this block, and here's also the fin stack. And we have a blower type fan, which you easily can remove, like that. And you have two SODIMM slots. In this case, we have 16 gigabytes, 2 times 8, DDR4, 3200. Different kits though, but they work nicely together. And then you have 2.5-inch SSD option here. And if you want to replace it, you can see that we have the slot here, and then we have a ribbon cable type of thing going on. And this releases the SSD, which just slides out. And you mount these interesting screws into the mount locations of the SSD. Now this is a 480 gigabyte SSD, so this is SATA speeds, of course. But if you want M.2, you will have to take your screwdriver with a T6, I think, Torx 6 perhaps, and unscrew 3 screws. So the first one is over here. And then we have 2 other ones over here. Right. So the ribbon cable here, it will not allow us to completely remove this without removing the ribbon cable, but you don't have to. You only flip it to the side like this, and we have 2 slots here. So here we have the standard M.2 slot, and then we have, is this the SATA one maybe? So yeah, and it takes up to 2280, I think, format of the M.2 devices. And you have the CMOS battery, and everything is pretty serviceable pretty easily. So I do like these HP Mini PCs. Connecting them to your like second screen or something is very nice. Now let's see if we can mount this back. So that's pretty easy. And then to insert this back in, there are some grooves over here, which these little screws go into, and then you have to make sure they go all the way sort of into the grooves, and then you just close the little latch, and there we are. Very easy and nice. Then on the front panel, now the front panel doesn't look too nice right now, but we haven't attached the front to it. So you place it like there, and then slide it back. I won't slide it all the way back right now, but there we go. And then we have USB and USB-C, 2 USB Type A, headphones, and a microphone. So power button and LED. Now this is the EliteDesk, And this is actually, I don't know if it's visible, but this is the HP EliteDesk 800G3 desktop mini, it says. We have it over here, 35 watts. Now, comparing these three generations, it's very interesting to see how well this fares, because a device like this with 16 gigabytes of RAM. Now this is the CPU is an Intel i5 6500T, and these are very common online, so you can get this really cheap. Depending on the configuration of the RAM and the SSD, I believe I got this for, I got it maybe 3 years back, and it was 16 gigabytes of RAM and 480 gigabytes of SSD with the Intel i5 6500T CPU. It was maybe $100 something equivalent, $120 to $150 equivalent US. Very good price for just getting a PC that has half a terabyte drive and 60 gigabytes of RAM and stuff. So you can look around and find these models very cheaply. And the only downside is that the 6500T CPU won't allow you to install Windows 11 on it natively, at least. But of course you can do some tricks and stuff to get around that. Now, let's connect a small USB device here for the keyboard, and I shall unfold my screen here and connect this. So we have, let's see here. Right, okay, first issue. Now this is only DisplayPort on this side, no HDMI on this model, and I only have HDMI. So allow me to solve this issue first. Right, so it turns out this display, I wasn't able to solve it because this uses a mini HDMI input, and I didn't have a DisplayPort to mini HDMI cable. So what do you do then? Well, obviously this monitor has served us well, and it's been featured in all our overclocking series on the GPUs and stuff, and on the open bench table PC and all of that. But I needed to solve this issue. So the solution is to, still is, to get, another monitor. Yeah, so because, why would that help us? One might ask. And that is a good question. Well, first of all, this has been sealed up until 5 minutes from now in plastic. I just open it up to make sure it actually would solve our problem. Because what I do have is a cable that is presumably 4K certified, HDMI to DisplayPort. Very nice. Now, my hope is that this monitor will actually have the full HDMI input that I can hook this up to. Because the other monitor was very thin, so it only had mini HDMI. And also, right up here in the corner, it says 4K. Now, the other one was only 1080p, so my idea is that this standalone 4K monitor will serve us well in the overclocking series, where we actually can run the 4K tests as well as the 1080p and beat some high scores and world records in 4K as well, like Firestrike Ultra and whatever it's called. So I have no idea if this monitor actually works or not. I just opened it. It's a lot thicker than our old monitor, so as we shall see here, both are in a sleeve, and well, yeah, this is like 3 times as thick, the new one. Right, and then we got some user manual. So yeah, it's the model, let's see here, it's a CX156-E IPS screen, 15.6 inch, 16:9 ratio, resolution 1920-1080. Hang on a moment. Oh, there are different models. So which one is this then? CX156C, it says on the back. CX156C, 156B, 156C. Alright, so maybe I was reading the wrong one. IPS screen, yes, 15.6 inch, 16:9 ratio, 3640-2160. 3640. Yeah, okay. Well, speakers built in, 60 Hz update ratio. There's also holes for VESA, and micro USB OTG function. A specially configured micro USB interface is used as an OTG function to connect a mouse or keyboard. Okay. LED indicator, power is the first button. Menu, audio brightness. Thunderbolt 3. Yeah, mini HDMI. Mini HDMI. Hang on a minute. I thought it would be normal HDMI. Oh well, we'll have to see about that. We'll get some cables. USB-C to USB-A, USB-C to USB-C, HDMI to HDMI. This doesn't look like a mini HDMI to me. And what do we have here? Ooh. Some kind of peelable USB adapter of unknown sort of. 5 volts, 3 amps. Well, I wonder if this is good quality or not. But I suppose we'll need to power it using this. I bought this some time ago, so I am not sure exactly what I paid for it, actually. But it was perhaps like 150 bucks, and then I had some coupons. This is straight from AliExpress, so we shall bear that in mind. Now this is turning into some kind of unboxing slash review of external monitor instead of HP Mini PC. Right, but let's try to refocus a bit on our task at hand. So, where is power? We have two USB slots over here, USB-C, and then yeah, this looks like a full HDMI. Let's have a look. Yeah, this should fit. Yeah, so that's good. And then we have micro USB over there. So which one over here was the power one? Ooh, there's a nice peel. Hang on a second, I shall check in the manual. Right, so the manual says pretty much both of these are for a charger or Thunderbolt signaling, or USB 3.1 from a mobile phone. So now I suppose it's turned this way around. Let's do the peel, I suppose. Ooh, there's a hole here. Ooh. Yeah, I like this one. It's an interesting, let's see here. Is it resealable? Yeah, sort of is. There's a little bit of a gluey strip here. And actually this is a pretty matte display. Yeah, it's not as blank as the other display, but this one is chunky and a bit heavier than the other one. Now this cable isn't too long, so I will connect it there, and then will it reach? Yeah, sort of. Great. And now the PC. Let's connect that. So we have the display port. We can we have two of them. We can choose one. There we go. And then we need power. So for the mini PC power brick, we go over here and put that in, and then I shall just connect the other end to the socket. I'm very interested to see actually how the three generations of mini PCs from HP that I have will perform compared to one another. Right, so I think we're good to go. I shall place the mini PC over here. No signal. Well, let's turn this on. Oh, it won't actually turn on unless I close this front, because the button doesn't reach then. Well, okay. Now. And I connected the USB for, oh yeah, look at that. we got some picture. Great, now let's log in. The picture quality is actually surprisingly good, I must say. I didn't have expectations at this level, let's say. I haven't fiddled anything with the settings yet for any of the monitor settings, but yeah, I set the scaling to 100% and well, I can only choose up to full HD. Maybe this only can output full HD, I'm not sure. But at least that's what I can choose right now. Okay, but we'll run full HD. I think that full HD is probably the most common scenario for this PC. So yeah. What will we do then? Well, we shall... I want PC Mark, 8064 and 3D Mark, and just do a run and see where we end up. Right, so just as a quick reminder, the i5-6500T has a base frequency of 2.5 gigahertz, and well, it's a 4-core, 4-thread CPU. So yeah, there we have it. Now, with that said, I have run AIDA64, and here's the report. So this is a memory read. I hope this is readable. So we can see that we have a 4-core i5-6500T here, and 29,947 megabytes per second read. The memory is currently running at 1535 CR2. So we do get a hit from that. But it's as usual in mini PCs of this kind. You usually have SODIMMs. They usually run at not so tight timings, and you have a command rate of 2 and stuff like that. But still, we're running 2133 DDR4. Also not the fastest DDR4 speeds, of course. But these PCs are not, performance focused in that sense. And this one has a few years, like, on its sort of lifespan. Yeah. Anyway, we're placed somewhere between. Yeah, we have the AMD sort of 8-core FX8350 Bulldozer era CPU. So we're well, a couple of thousand points above that, but we're closer actually to a 4-core Intel i7-6700K. So, but anyway, also with DDR4 2133, but with slightly tighter timings, I should say. But memory is not an indication of CPU speed per se. So let's continue. Memory write. At the top, we of course have a Ryzen Threadripper, but we're not comparing ourselves to that right now. So maybe we can zoom in just a little bit more. Memory write, 30,945 megabytes per second. Yeah, placed just below, or right in the middle between the Xeon X5550 and the i7 7700K, running same speed of DDR and well, a little slower timings actually. 36 there at 35 in our case, but yeah, I suppose the memory controller here isn't as good. Memory copy, once again, around the 7700K result at 27,385 megabytes per second versus 30,063. But let's move on to, memory latency 70.3 nanoseconds. So, maybe we want to just continue. CPU test, checkmate. Right. Now this we got a score of 634 here, and that places us just between the i7 4930K, which is a pretty old CPU, although I think it's a bit more power hungry than this one, and just, well, 130 points or so below the Ryzen 5 2400G. Now 100 points below, that's around 15% below, so it's not a monster of a system, but photo works. Photo editing, so we got 17,692 megapixels per second, and that's pretty much the same score. We're 640 points higher than the 16-core Atom C3958, and we're well, 1,500 points away from the i7 7700K. The 7700K is still a fine CPU, and this one is, of course, more power hungry, the 7700K. But it also scores a bit higher. But it's okay. It's okay for its age. So, what was next? Yeah, zlib, so compression. Or decompression. Perhaps compression, I'm not sure, but we get 192 megabytes per second. Now this might also be affected by the SSD, maybe, although I think this test should be constructed in a way that it basically uses the CPU only. Well, we don't. The 7700K is far away at 408.8 megabytes per second. So it has some optimizations, I think, also, and compared to our i5 6500T at 192 megabytes per second. AES encryption, so 12,339 megabytes per second. That's also far away from the 7700K that we compared ourselves to recently at 20,676. So yeah, it's basically almost twice as fast as the 6500T system. Hashes, 870 megabytes per second. Also far away from this 7700K. We're closer to a Phenom 2 X6 1100T. It was a nice CPU at its time, and Yeah, so we're about there, or the Ryzen 5, but the Ryzen 5 is actually a bit faster. So we're sort of closer to the Opteron 2378, but I'm not too familiar with all the server hardware, so. But we're slightly faster than an i7 990X, but that was a long time ago. Right. Let's see here. Did I see A10 6800K? So considering we have been overclocking on the yeah, there we have it, 7850K actually. So this one should fare better than the 7850K in its original configuration. We of course overclocked it a bit. Floating point 23,011 points. That's well, 3770K i7, but it's slower. The i7, this one is faster. It's closer to i7 5775C. That was some odd CPU I remember from some time ago. Also FPU Mandel, we have 12,708 points. Once again, we're closest to the i7 5775C. So FPU Sinjulia 2366, which makes us closer to the i5 650, which is a slow and old CPU by today's standards. But we beat it, but not by a whole lot, like 60 points or so. Ray Trace FP32. There we have it, 4,360 kilorays per second. That's once again comparable to an i7 5775C at 4,818 kilorays. FP64 ray trace 2,318, and it's pretty close once again to the 5775C Intel i7 CPU. So it seems that yeah, comparable to the i7 5775C in many cases. Right, so there we have that. Yeah, now I would like to try out the perhaps PC Mark. the results for PC Mark are in. And it took a while, but we got there. So, yeah, the essential score is 5,641, productivity 7,177, and digital content creation 2,653, giving an overall score of 3,407. Sorry, I need to move the camera a bit. Right. Now, so what does this score mean? Well, I would say that the digital content creation part has a very low score. Photo editing is the highest. Rendering and visualization is the lowest. Video editing is nothing to brag about. So this is obviously not a system for video editing. I did use this system for video editing actually when I was on a trip, and well, it finally got the job done, but it wasn't the best experience. So I wouldn't recommend this generation of HP Mini PCs for digital content creation of today, at least. Even though the PC Mark 10 benchmark isn't the newest one either. So the productivity score is a lot higher, 7,177. So yeah, things like spreadsheets and writing, that is sort of the main target audience kind of thing for this PC, I think. Now, however, apart from that, if we check further to the left, the web browsing score is also not bad, and yeah, video conferencing is okay. App startup not the best, but that will depend on the SSD, I suppose, as well. So yeah, we got some details here, but so how does this compare to anything? Well, we can at least compare to, for those of you who have watched the video, if you haven't, then please do, or the videos on the Acer Aspire 14 AI OLED PC laptop. Because we ran a lot of PC Mark over there. So let's have a look at those scores. Yes. Let's just zoom out a little bit. So this is from the video on the Acer Aspire laptop. And well, the Essentials had a score of 9,675, with the app startup at 10,393, video conferencing 8,945, and web browsing 9,742. But overall, Essentials 9,675 compared to this PC at 5,641. So it is definitely slower than the AI PC, but well, almost twice as fast is the AI PC. Productivity at 10,410. So we got 7,177. Writing score 7,869 though. The AI PC 7,531. I don't remember if this was the score for the low power preset or not, but still the AI PC from Acer was about $1,000 or so around, and the digital content creation at 9,170. But if we compare to our score at 2,000, of course, then it's a huge difference. Even though this PC from a lot of years back has pretty much the same amount of RAM, 16 gigabytes, which is insane to me. Anyway, total score 3407, and the AI PC got a total score of 6982. So yeah, there is a difference. But there is a difference, but let's see what we can find when we compare the results online. Right. Online, it says pretty much that the score is better than 15% of all results. So we're not in a too good spot. Office laptop of 2023 would be 5,848 points. And we had 6,900, I think, something on the Acer Aspire. So yeah. So there we have it. Now, based on the PC Mark 10 score, is this worth a price tag of, well, today I think you can find it for under $100 for sure, I think. It depends on your use case, of course. If you want to have a PC that you don't care too much about to bring with you to connect to different hotels and rented apartment or cottages the monitors there, or bring your own monitor, and you don't want to have a laptop, then yeah, I've used it like that and I'm very happy. Like watching YouTube is just fine in full HD at least. And you want something cheap that you don't care too much about, sure, but maybe not for video editing. I suppose if you have to edit like a 10-15 minute video on the run, then it's fine. It will do it like in full HD. I used Clipchamp and it worked, but it wasn't the best experience. Anyway, so there we have it. Next up will be 3DMark. Right, so here we are again. It's a new day, and well, I think that it's time to do the 3DMark benchmarks. So what should we choose? I think Time Spy not installed, so that one we will need. But in the meantime, I just wanted to point out that I connected a power meter to the HP PC, and during idle desktop idling, it draws about 7.5 watts or so, and yeah, it was actually pretty stable at 7.5 watts, which is pretty good. I mean, this PC has a few years on its back, so to speak, and yeah, it's not bad. 7.5 watts. You can do a whole lot with 7.5 watts. So yeah, I think that we'll run Time Spy and Firestrike like we do in our overclocking series. The only thing that makes sense on this integrated Intel Iris Graphics 530 is 1080p at best, of course. So currently we don't have too many numbers to compare, but we will do a comparison later on with our results, perhaps from the 7850K and GTX 960 overclocking or something, 950. And yeah, this is the part 1, of course, with the first generation of HP Mini PC, and then in part 2 or so we will have a look at the next generation of HP Mini PCs. Now I don't have any like consecutive chronologically following sort of upgrades of the HP Mini PCs. I only have like 3 different generations, and we will try them out. So this one is the sort of cheapest and weakest of them, and in the next parts we will then explore the more recent and powerful generations and see how much difference is there really between the generations and which one should you get. So once again, this this generation currently with the Intel 6500T CPU, 4-core, 4-thread CPU, we're sort of in the up to $100 range, and yeah, it does not support TPM 2.0 as far as I can tell in the BIOS, so yeah, we're limited to Windows 10, at least officially. Alright, so we're ready to run TimeSpy. Now once again, we're not doing this to maximize scores or overclocking, just to get a general sense of where we are at with the performance of this device. So let's get to it. Yeah, what we're seeing here is basically slideshow. So 2.5 FPS. So I suppose you wouldn't want to run TimeSpy in 1080p on this specific device. But it will be very interesting indeed to see how how it fares compared to the other variants. So yeah, 149 FPS in total. That's not a whole lot. And GT2 is even more intensive, I think, perhaps. So let's have a look. Yeah, 1.6 FPS, 1.7, 2 FPS. Yeah, the scores will be lower than what we have seen. Yeah, the scores will be lower than what we have seen on the GTX 950, even overclocking streams. Not streams, but series. Sorry. But very interesting. I will. I'm eager to see the scores. Yeah, for the CPU test, this will be interesting as well. Starting off at 30 FPS or so. That's okay. But it will get increasingly harder to render this. on the CPU, so down to 16 FPS, 15. Ooh, and we got a score. So 454 points, and it says great. Of course, that's considering the Intel HD Graphics 530. So there we have it. Graphics score 397, CPU score 2625. Now that's a score, and as expected, the iGPU is of course very weak in comparison to the CPU part. But we also must remember that this is a very old CPU and iGPU, of course. Then, so let's compare results online. Yeah, I like this one. Better than 0% of all results. So Office laptop from 23 was 1671 points with a Core i7 1360p processor and Iris Xe graphics. Yeah, so 454. But how does this fare in comparison to other similar systems? Let's have a look at that. So let's choose Windows CPU 6500T, GPU Intel 530, 3D Mark times pi. Right, so we have some scores here. What did we get? 454. It seems, yeah, 454. 454. It should give us. There are several ones at 454. But why do I not see? Oh, wait a minute. It didn't. The problem is, I think it says generic VGA. It didn't identify it as an HD 530 for some reason. Which is a bummer. So, but 454, that would place us, yeah, 15th place in the list here. So with this combination of configurations, of course. Now results, yeah, I will record this. Firestrike has been downloaded. I have noted the scores for TimeSpy. Now let's see what we get from Firestrike. I think Firestrike should be a little bit easier on the system. Current power draw is 24 watts, 25. Let's see how many watts it will draw during the test. So currently 25 watts. Five FPS, 39 watts, 39.9, so 40 watts. Yeah, 40.5 is the highest I've seen so far in terms of watt power draw. And we are, yeah, we had about 5 FPS. Here we have 4 FPS and 45.8, 46 watts of power, which is the highest I've seen so far. Currently 38 watts, 39. So, but yeah, 46 watts was the highest I saw. And we're at 4 FPS or so. 5. Total frame count about 200 FPS. CPU test was about 18 FPS. Now this, we got 1.7 FPS here. So yeah, this test is a bit... yeah. Okay, but let's see what the scores will be like. Right. So we got a score, and 1057 points, which is great. Average is 1027, best is 1229. So graphics score 1151, physics 6006, combined 372. So yeah, the graphics once again pulls us down. But the physics score of 6006 is not too bad, I would say. I don't remember, what did we have on the overclocking bench computer for physics? Would be interesting to see how the CPUs compare, so let's go online and check out. First of all, yeah, better than 3% of all results. So that's better than TimeSpy, which had 0. But let's try to find our scores for Firestrike physics test for the GTX 950 or 960 overclocking bench setup. So CPU, it was 7850K on the bench, and GPU, let's go for GTX 950, and Firestrike. So yeah, we have the topmost score still, and it was set in on February 18th, 23. Yeah, physics score 5498. So the physics score here at 6006 is better, but it's pretty comparable. 6006 or 5500. It's 500 points, but still. And this system was overclocked. The bench system. So let's see what we got on the GTX 960. Yeah, we had the topmost score there as well, as we could see in the recent video, and yeah, physics score was lower, 5391. So no scores at 6000. Let's yeah, sort on physics score. Yeah, the highest physics score was 5513, but that was not our score. But still, yeah, unoverclocked, the HP system got 6006 in physics score. However, graphics score 1151. So that is of course a lot lower. Let's go for the GTX 950. Overall score was 6014 we got. Overclocked of course, but even if we scroll down a bit, it's still in the 5.7 thousands. So that's a whole lot more than 1151 on graphics. Combined score is in the 2000s on the GTX 950. Here we have 372, so we can clearly say that this of course is not a gaming sort of system. I suppose you can run some web browser based puzzle games, but you shouldn't get this for this computer for playing games. I think it's a good 1080p HD PC sort of bring along or travel or something like that, or connect it to your bedroom 1080p television or something. Right, but there we have it. So I suppose, I don't know, are there any other benchmarks? SSD performance is not really relevant. It's very dependent on the SSD, and it can be replaced easily in the system, so you'll get different results, of course, with different SSDs. Ray tracing is not relevant. CPU profile. Well, I suppose we can try a CPU profile. It has been downloaded. Let's run it. And the scores are in, so let's have a closer look. 1792 on max threads, and 16 threads 1821, 8 threads 1824, expected because this is a 4-core CPU, so 4 threads is pretty much the same value as the 16 and 8, and then 2 threads is 959 and 1 thread is 505. So the scaling is not exactly twice, but for doubling from 1 to 2 and from 2 to 4, but pretty close. Right, okay, but there we have it. I think we have established something, but we can't really make all our assumptions right now, or not assumptions. We cannot draw all our conclusions right now because we have yet to test the other generations of the HP systems of similar fashion. So yeah, hang on one moment. Yeah, I will just use the tape measure here to measure the dimensions. So it's about 17.5 by 17.5 centimeters, that is, and 3.7 centimeters thick. So there we have it. Right, I will save the values here and join me in the next part where we will find out what kind of system the second generation that I have is, and how will it fare in the comparison to this. But like I said, even though this system officially only supports Windows 10, I suppose there are ways you could install Windows 11. Or if you're running Linux or something like that, or use it for other purposes, then that will probably be fine. I have used it with Windows 10, and yeah, it works great like a YouTube PC. It's very quiet. The fan doesn't spin up when you are just watching some YouTube or something like that, browsing the web. So it's very quiet. It stays cool in most scenarios, and it's not very high performing, but the CPU is very potent. we got 6,000 points in Firestrike for the physics test, and that's not too bad. Of course, yeah, compared to an AMD A10 7850K, of course, but still it was overclocked, and that system works fine for the CPU part of it for daily tasks. So yeah, I do like the system, but it's starting to feel a bit old, yes. But you can get these types of PCs with this specific configuration very cheaply. However, I wouldn't skimp out on by getting an 8 GB model with the 8 GB of RAM. I would either install another 8 GB stick or buy one with 16 GB at least pre-installed, because the RAM does a whole lot as the system ages, and you want to run more modern applications. Then RAM is what I feel makes the most difference. And of course you want an SSD. It doesn't have to be an M2 SSD. This one runs a SATA SSD, Kingston drive, 0.5 TB, and that's okay. It feels snappy in Windows and all of that. So and with the current SSD prices, of course, are high, so getting a SATA SSD for this one is probably cheaper, maybe. Right, but there we have it. Thank you so much for watching, and this will be very interesting to compare to the upcoming systems. So join me in this adventure, and I hope you have a nice day, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye bye.